Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do another presentation, but this one's more about navigating educational systems. This is just an overview. I do introduce this topic of charismatic rascal, and maybe later I'll turn into some type of methodology or pedagogy or some type of affect or psychological affect. Yeah, but as of now, I'm just navigating educational systems, embracing the charismatic rascal mindset. Okay, so this session will be an information session that will look at alternative ways of navigating educational systems. This term, charismatic rascal, will be the opening term of a colloquial phrase of someone who navigates systems that can be oppressive, demeaning, or sometimes outright avoidant. Navigating with the charismatic rascal concept and mindset will allow students to have methods in which will feel validated and allow them to keep integrity when asking for resources, help, and opportunities when in college or career settings. And the students will also learn alternative methods in which they will learn professionalism while maintaining integrity in educational settings. Okay, going on with one of those work, travesuras. These are used to test the limits of power within the realm of misbehavior, embedded with agency because of its potential to explore possibilities. It has a playful nature that allows for user to have a less serious consequence, and often it's excused for naivety or ignorance. Okay, so why this term charismatic rascal? Okay, so this term really was just me sitting down on the couch with my cousin and a roommate, and I was trying to figure out my ideas on the educational system. So I'm a first gen student, Chicano in Kentucky in the mountains, and I'm like, I made it so far, right? Like I was going into my third year. I was like, why am I making it, right? So I had this fake Insta where I would just jot down all my ideas to a select group of friends. This was often very philosophical, and in the post, I chose the term charismatic rascal of myself navigating the system, right? Um, yeah, so it was ultimately a term I used to describe myself navigating the college structure. So during your time in college, understand that you are navigating, right? Please be sure that to recognize that your time here is a structure that you navigate through. Your time in university is when you are trying to move on to your next step, right? You're either going to try to get another job, you're going to either try to go to grad school, or you simply just want to graduate, right? You want to get out of here. So understand that your time in college is just navigating. Two, professionalism. Understand that there is a corporate culture and a way of being that's professional, right? This depends on where you're at currently in the college system, and it's a subtle thing. Like nobody's gonna talk to you about it. No one's gonna be like you have to step one, step two, step three professionalism. But it's the way you act, the way you talk to people, the way you dress. It's very important that you understand that when you're in school, there's a certain level of professionalism in there. Mental health. So understand, like in college, it gets pretty hard. But know that there's school resources. Most public institutions should have some type of counseling center or some type of resources to get you some type of mental health. Now, going on to more real stuff, understand if you're a first gen, you're not supposed to know everything, and that's why it's hard. There's a reason for this term first gen. If there wasn't a reason for this term, we wouldn't be seeing such trouble, right, with students who are first time entering. If it was easy for everybody, we would just we want to make a term for it. And another thing is academia is a white institution. So for the Black, Indigenous, and people of color population, it can be very alienating to be at these spaces. Black and Hispanic folks weren't allowed in these institutions till around the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Higher Education Act of 1965, right? So there has been HBCUs, there has been like Latinos allowed into these institutions, but there was a lot of like pushback between that happens. Access to like rates, um, where to live. A lot of this is kind of hidden. I'm not an expert on like the whole college access for people of color during this time. I'll be honest, but just know that like we were fighting civil rights acts around these times. So like we were just trying to get rights before we were even going into college, right? So yeah. All right, financial aid. Uh, ask people you know, right? When it comes to money, student services, the student services, student affairs, coaches. Like if I was a student athlete, so even my coach, I remember I lost all my Pell Grant money, and my coach was able to bump my scholarship, athletic scholarship, a couple grants. It was a small private liberal arts. He saw the work I was doing, and he was willing to do that. So ask, you never know what you can get, right? Some schools may just have like a full rate, and if you're this really applies to undergraduate students. Um, and if you're an overachiever, you can have they just have one full rate. It's not by credit hours, but it's instead it's just one full rate for the semester. So you can take up to 12 to 18 credits, right? And for those who are willing, especially the first couple of years, you may want to take advantage of that and load up on the courses, right? This could lead to a double major or a couple of minors. And also the work study. Uh, so work study is a federal program, and with FAFSA, you always click the work study because you never know when you're going to need it. And maybe if that department doesn't have money to actually give you that work study money is a lot of money that um, the government gave that school for people who need it, right? For work study patients, for clients, students, whatever. So yeah. Another thing about navigating college, take accountability for your course load, right? Look at your course plan and be your own advisor, really. And I truly believe this. Um, I have like one of my undergraduate majors, and like literally, I would print this out and I would just check it. I would make sure that I'm right when I'm doing the registration, I'm right there with her and just being like, do I have to take this? Do I have to take this? I'm looking at it. I took this. I took this. You want to be on top of this, right? You want to see if you can print it out, see if you can get a copy of this and just be on top of it. Be your own advisor when it comes to education. Do not trust anybody. There's too many horror stories. All right. So also another thing, ask upperclassmen about the classes they have taken in your major, right? If they're about to graduate, you know about to graduate, let them look at what you have already and be like, do you have to take this? Do I have to take this? Right? It's nice to have kind of a peer, right? Uh, Once again, too many horror stories with this aspect. Independent study. If you go to a small private liberal arts, this might be a little bit too easier, or maybe if you're at a small college or small department, in a big public institution, this might be a little bit easier. Or maybe if you just have like the best relationship with the professor, where you're just like able to call this professor, or maybe you're supposed to text. You know what I'm saying? Like he's really that open, or he or she is that really that open, or they. Um, yeah, ask a close professor for an independent study. A lot of times, this may count to a core, may count as a research credit. You might be able to count this as a practicum. There's a lot of, I would ask for your program directors, but this might be a possibility. You can take a break from any boring class and allow your time to really dive deep to a certain topic or interest. If you're considering graduate school, I think this is a perfect time to kind of go into something like this, right? For example, you may be doing like I was a master's of arts in psychology, so like if I did an independent study in undergraduate year, maybe I could have learned a little bit more of a certain area of psychology instead of going to a clinical program, or I could have gone into a developmental program, or maybe psychology wasn't it, maybe social work. I even had one time in undergraduate an English professor who really would have taken the time to do independent study with me, but at that time I was a first gen student. I didn't really know what was going into, right? So yeah, that's another thing. Networking. You never know. Time fast. You might be 18 to 22, so you don't think about it. But your colleagues and your classmates may be people who you will be working with in the future, right? Especially if you stay in that town or something, and could get you opportunities. And most importantly, I think including teachers and professors and any student affair professionals. You never know when in a couple of years you get your bachelor's degree, and you might want to come back to your public institution and might work there, right? Or they know somebody from within the community. There's a small world out here, so you never know. So make those connections, networking. Clubs and organizations. If you go to big public universities, there should be clubs and organizations that you can be part of, and that might be another opportunity for networking. LinkedIn, just even making a LinkedIn account is a good source for keeping tabs with people and also just putting your things in display, right? Graduate school. Graduate school is an option for you, even if you're first gen. If you're thinking about it, it's an option for you. Uh, Prepare for the GRE, for the MCAT, etc. Look at the requirements for the scores, depending on your school that you need, right? Try to get that. See if your school can pay for your test or offer for free tutoring tailored to these tests, right? Never know what your school can offer for that, especially if you're being a first gen student. Okay, and just conclusion. college is a structure that you learn to navigate through. The structure has a lot of hidden rules and pathways. It's important to understand that you belong to these institutions and you can succeed. So once again, I'm not going into the charismatic rascal idea, but really this is just like I just wanted to put it as the title. But for now, this is just an overview that I've done for a couple of times, a couple of presentations, and it's just like how to navigate school systems, right? Know that you're navigating school systems. Most importantly, know that if you're first gen, it's supposed to be hard. You're not supposed to have the answers. There's a reason why we have these terms. But there's little things that you can do, and I thought these were kind of important things that like maybe I missed out on a little bit, or maybe if I focused on a little bit harder, that could have been way better, right? Experience, or maybe even some, not that I didn't have any, but yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.